Hello everyone, I'm Bernard V. Cisneros, and I am going to report words are tangible as part of our lesson in chapter 2. The content of my report are noun, adjectives, verbs, pronoun, determiner, preposition, adverb, and conjunction. First, what does it mean to know a word? First, understanding its basic meaning. Second, denotation. And the third is familiarizing its connotation. So, when we are talking about denotation, it is the literal meaning of the word as what we can find in dictionaries, and the connotation is the additional ideas that the word itself invokes, such as when we hear a word blue. We know that blue is a color, but when we are talking about connotation, it invokes a feeling of sadness. So, a connotation can be identified as positive, negative, or neutral. How to identify lexical categories? Lexical categories are also known as part of speech. So how is that? We have here first on the list a noun. Noun is a word that describes a person, place, things, or ideas. Example of nouns include names, location, objects in the physical world, or objects and concepts that do not exist in the physical world. Example, a dream or a theory. Second is adjective. An adjective is a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it. Adjective is a word that modifies a noun or pronoun. Example, words like small, blue, and sharp are descriptive, and they are all example of adjectives because these three words I have mentioned are descriptive, and that is the description of an adjective. It is a descriptive word. Third on the list is the verb. A verb is used to describe an action, state, or an occurrence. So when we are talking about verb, I'm going to give you an example. A sentence: Anthony is throwing a ball. So the verb in the sentence is the word throwing because it describes the action of our noun, which is Anthony. Next is pronoun. A pronoun is a word that functions by itself as a noun, phrase, and that refers either to the participants in the discourse or to someone or something mentioned elsewhere in the discourse. So we're talking about pronoun. Example of pronoun is I, you, she, is, this. So as what you observe, this this pronoun is very important upon building a sentence. And that's all. Next is a determiner. It is a modifying words that determines the kind of reference a noun or a noun group has. So I'm going to give you an example. Examples are a, the, and every, and etc. Next on the list is the preposition or postposition. So a preposition is a word governing and usually preceding a noun or pronoun and expressing a relation to another word or element in the clause. So that is the meaning of preposition, and I'm going to give you an example, and the sentence is the man on the platform. So in the sentence, our preposition is the word on, because a preposition is a word governing and usually preceding a noun or pronoun, or even expressing a relation to another word or element in the clause. So the word on in this sentence is our preposition. And going to postposition, it is a word or a morpheme placed after the word it governs. For example, the word homeward rather. So in the word homeward, our postposition in there is the word ward, because it is the word that is placed after the word it governs. Next is adverb. It is a word or phrase that modifies or qualifies an adjective, verbs, or other adverbs, or a word group expressing a relation of place, time, circumstances, manner, cause, or degree. So we have four kinds of adverb, namely adverb of manner, which its example is angry, happily, and etc. Second is an adverb of place. Example is the word near, far, here, and etc. Third is the adverb of time. Example, yesterday, now, tomorrow, and etc. And lastly is the adverb of frequency. The example of it is often, sometimes, usually, and many other words. Last but not the least is the conjunction. A conjunction is used to connect clauses or sentences or to coordinate words in the same clause. So I'm going to give you an example. We are likely to observe these words in the sentences. The word neither, hardly, when, not only, and etc. So that's all. I hope you have learned something in my report, and Thank you.
How does a language increase its vocabulary? Languages have three principal ways of extending their vocabulary. First, new words can be formed from existing words and word parts. Second, words can be borrowed from another language. Third, new words can be made up, created from scratch. There are two categories in adding or borrowing new words. The open classes, which have nouns, adjectives, and verbs. The closed classes, which have prepositions, pronouns, and determiners. Then, how to derive new words. With the help of affixes, we are able to create new words, which is categorized into two. The prefixes that change the meaning of words but not usually their lexical category. Example, an, pre, and this. Prefixes are usually found at the beginning of the word. Meanwhile, suffixes are added to the tail end of a stem. Example, meant and Asian. Reduplication, a process by which a morpheme or part of a morpheme is repeated to create a new word with a different meaning or category. Example, very, very, and night, night. Reduplication has different functions in language. First, it can moderate or intensify the meaning of a word. Second, it can mark grammatical categories. Compounding, putting words together to create new words in a process. Example, waterbed. Shortenings, in which words and expressions are being compressed, has three classifications. First, the acronyms, in which initials of letters of an expression are joined and pronounced as a word. Example, NASA. Second, initialism, which resembles acronyms but are pronounced as a sequence of letters. Example, NYU, that stands for New York University. Third, blends, in which words are created by combining parts of words. Example, smog, that stands for smoke and fog. Vowel information, the verb corresponding to the noun pronunciation. Example, typewrite from typewriter, babysit from babysitter, and edit from editor. Conversion or functional shift. Word belonging to one category can be converted to another category without any changes to the form of the word. Example, email, that can be a noun or a verb. Illegal, which can be a noun or an adjective. And average, which can be a noun or in the form of verb and adjective. Semantic shift or metaphorical extension. Words can take on new meanings by shrinking or extending the scope of their reference. Example, hawk and doves, in which these two examples are extending their meaning into metaphorical expression. Hawk came to be used frequently for supporters of war and doves for supporters of peace. Borrowed words. Some popular examples are glitch from German and macho and pronto from Spanish. These words that came from different nationality but are used around the globe and as part of English language. Inventing words. Inventing new words is not common, and that makes the new word rare. Example, nerd invented by Dr. Seuss, Bandersnatch, Gollump, Snark by Lewis Carroll.
What types of morphological systems do languages have? Let's first discuss what is morphology. It is said to be the study of the words, how they are arranged, and the components of. There are three types of morphology: the isolating morphology, agglutinating morphology, and inflectional morphology. Let's first discuss what is an isolating morphology. Isolating morphology lacks both derivational and inflectional morphology. As an example is the Chinese language. Chinese language has an isolating morphology. Why? Because each word used in this language contains only single morpheme and usually not focuses on grammars. Next is the agglutinating morphology. This morphology generally refers to the process of adding prefixes and suffixes on the base words. Prefixes are the group of letters added in the beginning of the word, while the suffixes are the group of letters added in the end of the word. For an example, announce, meant, desire, able, et. Those examples has several suffixes. Last type is the inflectional morphology. This morphology is used to indicate the grammatical function of the word. Also, inflectional morphology doesn't change the meaning of the word, unlike derivational morphology, which changes the meaning of the words. For an example, he walked versus he walks. He walk is grammatically incorrect, but if we add s on it, he walks, and that makes it grammatically correct. Next is the variant pronunciations of morphemes, allomorphy. First, what is an allomorphy? Allomorphy are the alternate pronunciations of the word. For an example, wife. Instead of F, we pronounce it as V, and that makes it wives. Next is talk. We pronounce the suffix ed as letter T.